Hello, I'm Askar Sherlief and you're watching the news from Kazakhstan. On Friday, Almaty hosted the Trans-Asian Parliamentary Forum, the Eurasian dimension of the OSCE. The abundance of political compliments to Kazakhstan could not hide the real concern for the unstable situation in the neighboring Kyrgyzstan.
The European government body of OSCE complimented Kazakhstan during Trans-Asian Plenary Forum in Almaty, saying that the country adequately fulfills its function as an organization chair. The way Kazakhstan dealt with the situation in Kyrgyzstan also received some praise, as an entire session of the forum was dedicated to the topic.
Another important resource used by the chair was the high personal authority of President Nazarbayev, who was working during the days of the crisis on the cessation of the confrontation for the sake of the people of Kyrgyzstan.
The Senate Speaker Kassym-Jomart Tokayev stated that the security is the common issue for everyone in the era of globalization. The Parliament Chairman Ural Muhamedjanov proceeded with the proposal to restructure the OSCE and make it a Eurasian organization. The OSCE Secretary General Mark Perrin-Debrechenbaugh did not comment on the matter, but called the role of Kazakhstan in the settlement of the Kyrgyzstan's conflict successful.
Kazakhstan has acted as an exemplary chair of the OSCE. Ambassador Karibzhanov dealt with the issue immediately and took all the conflict-settling measures.
Political scientist Rasul Jumali is not undervaluing the role of Kazakhstan in resolving of the conflict, but believes that some powerful political players stand behind the protests in Kyrgyzstan.
I believe Russia sympathizes with the interim government, while the American side would rather deal with the former president, especially in view of the Manas military airbase. Until these sides will find a compromise, all attempts at reaching agreements within SCO or CSTO will fail.
The researchers say that the country has no ability to influence the situation. Depending on the developing events in the neighboring state, Kazakhstan might either earn or lose political points.
Meanwhile, civil unrests and disorders continue in Kyrgyzstan since May 13th, as allies of the overthrown President Kurmanbek Bakiyev seize administrative buildings in the south of the country.
According to the latest data, more than 60 people were injured, one person dead. No citizens of Kazakhstan were reported among the victims, and the Kazakh Foreign Ministry is currently busy verifying this information. About 400 people participated in the clashes. The Foreign Policy Department of Kazakhstan doesn't comment on the situation so far. As official representative Ilya Samarov reported, MFA is not ready to comment on the internal, social and political situation in Kyrgyzstan until Kazakh authorities will take specific actions. Would you comment if your neighbor at home had a scandal? We consider these events as strictly the internal affairs of this country. They express their actions in this manner.
The Secretary General of the CSTO, Nikolai Bardyuzha, stated during a press conference in Moscow that the organization has no intention of getting involved in the situation within Kyrgyzstan or deploy peacekeepers in the country. The official also spoke about the new military transportation agreements between Astana and Washington. Russian experts believe that the US now has a chance to strengthen its position in Kazakhstan due to events in Kyrgyzstan.
The issue in question is the transportation of military cargoes and personnel to Afghanistan through Kazakh airspace, although there is a possibility that Americans could want to make transit landings on the territory of the country. The legal ground for the establishment of the base already exists, as 2 years ago Kazakhstan ratified a memorandum with the US pleading to support the US military operation in Afghanistan. According to the document, the Almaty airport should serve as a backup emergency landing site. At the same time, the CSTO Secretary General Nikolai Bardyuzha says there is no need for an American military base in Kazakhstan at the moment, while Russia is not likely to approve this development of events. I know that the currently functioning base in Bishkek accomplishes specific objectives. The temporary presence of this base on the territory of Kyrgyzstan is justified, as it contributes to the stability of the entire Central Asian region. There's no need to set up another base.
Back to domestic politics. The MPs present to Nazarbayev for his 70th anniversary in the form of the Leader of the Nation title essentially makes him a permanent head of the state. This inevitably leads to a question whether it is feasible to rule the country at his age, and how can this matter affect the state decision-making.
There are many examples in the modern history when the countries are ruled by the leaders after reaching the retirement age. Only few, however, manage to do it adequately. At the same time, most of the states whose heads are over 70 can be found in the list of the third world countries. These include Fiji, Zimbabwe, Cuba, Albania, Romania, Nicaragua, Laos and others.
Only an egoist or a person who committed numerous crimes will cling to this position.
The current president of Kazakhstan, who was recently granted the title of nation's leader, sees no problem with his age. In his address to the nation, the head of state tasked scientists to raise average life expectancy to 72 years. Apparently, this number is not to be applied to the president himself, as Nazarbayev plans to rule the country at least until 2020, with no regards to the age issue. Scientists, though, have a different opinion on the matter.
It is impossible for a 70-year-old person to return to his 30-years-old form. International experience shows that, for example, scientists over the age of 70 have lower working efficiency than their younger colleagues.
Kazakhstan's constitution specially limits the president's age to 65 years. After that, a person cannot apply for any high administrative positions. However, recent development proved once again that President Nazarbayev simply does not care about the main law of his country.
While the population was left to guess whether the president will sign the law in his own leadership, parliamentarians are trying to explain their unanimous approval post factum. Supposedly, the concept of the leader of the nation, or elbасы, is inherently in Kazakh nature.
Typing words "leader of the nation" into a search engine produces numerous results, but most of them are related to Nursultan Nazarbayev. The League of National Leaders also included Joshua, the follower of Moses, the president of Argentina and Peru, and Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the first president of the Turkish Republic. Notably, there are no ancient Kazakh rulers in this list, despite recent claims of the domestic scholars and MPs that the concept of the national leaders has always existed in the local history.
When I refer to Nursultan Nazarbayev as the leader of the nation during my lectures abroad, it immediately evokes the positive image of our country, current political reforms and our future. From a historic perspective, this is enough to justify calling this phenomenon the leader of the nation.
Another historian agrees that the country does need a leader. However, he does not share the opinion of MPs on that matter.
It always surprises me when, in order to do something for the future, people use examples from the past. Why do they bring up past? We have a completely different political situation in our hands.
Doskushim, a prominent Kazakh political scientist, is confident that the title of nation leader should be granted by the future generations and not the MPs.
I think this shows foolishness and political illiteracy of these ideas initiators. I was always against personality cults, and we know well that those are. Today it is a disease of our nation that Kazakhs never had before.
Doskushim hopes that the new promotion of Kazakhstan at the hands of the parliament will succeed, and the country will be known abroad not only due to the efforts of Barat Sagdiyev, but also because of its own leader of the nation.
The leader of the movement Arman, national patriot Ermek Narımbayev, can be sentenced to up to 5 years of imprisonment for attacking a policeman. The hearings on the case began on May 14th in Bostandik District Court of Almaty.
Narımbayev was brought to the courtroom from the special detention ward, where he is serving his 15 days of administrative sentence for participation in the protest action on May 1st. Narımbayev is accused of pushing a policeman during the May Day trial. The defendant and his attorney asked for a house arrest, as the public prosecutor recognized the violations as not severe. Nevertheless, the judge decided to deny the motion of the pre-trial release. At the same time, Narımbayev complains about his poor health condition and no ability to prepare for the defense. I repeat, I pose no danger for the society, and even policemen themselves gave exculpatory testimonies. Thus, I'm going to use the conference protocols to prove my innocence during the trial.